Good evening, I'm Jeff Lyons. It is Monday, July the 28th at 9 o'clock, time for the First Alert Weather Show. We have some weather going out there right now, as many of you know, over western Kentucky, and earlier we had some storms over southwest Indiana. So we'll recap that here in just a moment. The only new warning that is on the board right now is a severe thunderstorm warning. It looks like that is for Muhlenberg County here. We'll kind of bring that over. These storms have behaved a little strangely this evening. In fact, I'll show you the loop here, and we will go back a full 3 hours here, all the way back to 6 o'clock. And they began up around US 50 here, as you're going to see in just a second. And then they kind of curved and moved over to the west as they came down, bringing a little bit of wind and cooler air into Vanderburgh County, and then they just kind of made a sweeping move across Warwick, Spencer, and Davis. Now, I did read on the National Weather Service, our Slack channel with them, that we did have some trees and power lines down in Gibson County. A couple campers flipped over up around Hazleton, I believe it was, or Patoka. So there have been some spotty or limited impacts from these storms. And they will continue to weaken and move on out of the tri-state this evening. We're not expecting widespread severe weather tonight. And, you know, if we can hack the little bit of severe weather in there, we will get at least a brief reprieve from the heat. Now, we still have to get through tomorrow and Wednesday, and then we have another batch of storms, and that should snuff out the fire for a while, actually, into the weekend. But for now, our First Alert weather days stand all the way through Wednesday. Today we saw heat index values at 115 or greater, so take this one seriously. You'll note that because we had those storms in the area, our temperature dropped back to 81 with a feels like temp of 85. Far cry from even places like Fairfield there with a feels like of 97 right now. Anybody in the path of the storm here got a nice gush of cool air, but Mount Carmel still sweating up there at 95. Our extreme heat warning will continue through tomorrow and more than likely be extended into portions of the tri-state for Wednesday. A lot of that will depend on when our storms arrive from the system that'll be bringing a cold front in on Wednesday evening. The peak heat index forecast for tomorrow, 115, then 111, and then you see we jump down there with the passage of the front to heat index values in the 90s, upper 80s to near 90. I'm sorry, I had a little too much watermelon for dinner. It's that time of the year, though. You got to eat your watermelon. Anyway, mid 80s here through Thursday, Friday, and the weekend. And lows will drop down into the lower 60s. Our best chances for rain there Wednesday and Thursday. All right, let's look ahead here, and the hour by hour lighting up a few thunderstorms again by late Wednesday night and early Thursday morning. The timing of this front still a little bit in question, and the accompanying thunderstorms. But it does look like a pretty good bet that we will have northerly winds, falling temperatures, and less humidity by Thursday morning, and that trend then continues into Thursday afternoon, Friday, and the weekend. Not a big rainmaker, despite the tremendous amount of moisture in the atmosphere. By the time this thing all comes together, we will have local pockets, perhaps, of heavy rain, but the broad brush there of the GFS not hinting at a big rain event, but localized flooding. I know it's contradictory, right? I just said there's not going to be much rain. Now I'm saying localized flooding. But you know how these things are. The map I just showed you is a kind of a blurred out average, and each storm that pops up could produce locally heavy rain, as they often do when it's this humid out there. The hottest air right now in the country is right over the central and southern plains. Back to the north, we have a pretty big complex of severe weather developing, which we're going to check out in a moment. But our little batch of thunderstorms did manage to knock the temperature down somewhat. We're showing 77 in Newburgh right now, for example, 75 in Owensboro, where we had a pretty good storm that came through there about an hour ago. We hit 95 today. You know, despite the tremendous heat, we've not hit 100 this month. I'm not complaining, and it's not surprising when the air is this moist. It's virtually impossible, not completely, but virtually impossible to get to that 100-degree temp. You need so much energy to offset the moisture, or to warm the moisture up, if you want to think of it that way. For the month and year where you still have a surplus of rain, our average temperature now about 3.4 above normal, and of course no drought concerns here. For tomorrow, that temperature goes right back up into the mid-90s, just like it did today. All right, here's the big complex of storms I was talking about, and this could morph into, a longer tracked kind of system here, maybe a derecho type situation where you have several 100 miles with damaging winds, but that's going to stay away from the tri-state. The only significance for us is that this is part of the process of getting that colder air, cooler air, down our way along that cold front. So, and of course, it's peak severe weather season in the north. As we've mentioned many times, the jet stream has retreated up along the U.S.-Canadian border, and so we have a level 4, or widespread severe storms there, moderate risk, across Minnesota and Iowa. Tomorrow then, the band will shift and weaken a bit down to the I-80 corridor here. So, Des Moines, Omaha, back out into central, like Lincoln, Nebraska, places like that. And then on Wednesday, now we get into the act late in the day with some thunderstorms moving in, but by that point we will have weakened to a level 1 risk. So a few isolated strong storms, pretty much like what we saw this evening, where we might have a few warnings out there and power outages and trees down and stuff, but not a huge, everybody gets damage. Okay, on the hour by hour, you see those showers and storms kind of coming together and then moving in early Thursday morning is what our model is showing. And then beyond that, we cool down, and with the northerly wind coming in, that will knock that humidity down. We were looking at the dew points today, which of course got up to 80 this afternoon. Huge. I mean, 81's the record. 80, I think, was the last time we hit that was like 2011. I'm talking dew point now, not the temperature. Huge amount of moisture in the air. But by the weekend, we could see dew points in the 50s. Yeah, so much cooler and more refreshing out there. The lower the dew point, the bigger the spread between the temperature and the dew point number, then the more comfortable the air typically is. Greater capacity to evaporate your sweat. Well, you won't be sweating much, hopefully, if we're down into the mid-80s. Anyway, our northerly or northeasterly winds will continue through Sunday, Monday, and then it looks like a south wind will pick up again, and we'll probably sneak back up into those upper 80s by the middle or end of next week. 76 tonight, partly cloudy. Those thunderstorms should be winding down here within the hour. And then 96 tomorrow, extreme heat, as we know. First alert weather days through Wednesday. Then we dry out and cool down for the weekend. Look at those mid-80s down to 63 Sunday morning. And longer range through the 7th of August, we're expecting cooler or near normal temperatures and near normal rainfall too. All right, this pet pick, a little bit of a mystery. I think I've seen one of these, I'm not sure. But anyway, this is Alicia Elmore, and that's Finn. And in case you were wondering, Finn is a mini Highland cow. And I don't have a normal size cow here for comparison, or a banana down here on the ground to compare. But anyhow, it's a small cow who had just taken a bath, by the way. So a clean mini Highland cow. Thank you, Alicia, for mixing it up a little bit here. Maybe that's Alicia. And maybe if you're on here, you can tell me how not to butcher your name. How about that? All right, let's see what we have here. Cheyenne Hammond's checking in. Jeff Miller wants the hot weather out of here. Adam Luig's Sprint Week. Oh, you're going to be at Tri-State Speedway. Well, it's going to be a lot cooler this weekend for your sprint cars up there. Need good weather for cold beer and good racing. I think we're going to come through for you. I know we didn't. Last time you asked me specifically about Hobstadt, I kind of waffled, and I think you got rained out, didn't you? So this weekend looks pretty good for you up there. Thursday at 6 p.m. in Muhlenberg County. Will I be able to do? Oh, I thought you were inviting me to your pool party. Will you be able to do it Thursday at 6? I think so. We should be out of the storm risk by Thursday night. Jerry Blemker, downpours and rainbows in Petersburg. I saw some rainbows here at the station right when I came in after I ate around 7:15 back here to the northeast, so that was up your way. William Raleigh, nothing to report other than a nice little cool down tonight. Finally got a bare spot in the flower bed filled with new plants. All right. Well, you're being productive on days when most people are just like, you know, couched out, who can be. Not everybody. I realize there are a lot of people out working too. Let's see. So the wind shows the app rather shows winds out of the north overnight. Well, overnight tonight, especially if you were in the path of those storms, there will be a brief northerly wind. So yes, that is true. But then tomorrow, we don't really have much wind per se. But if we do get wind tomorrow, it'll pick up again more of a southwesterly thing. Cheyenne's AC can't keep up. Yeah, I read somewhere that most home air conditioning can only have about a 20-degree differential between whatever it is outside and whatever you have it at. Might be a little more than that, but it's pretty tough to maintain, especially with the heat and humidity as bad as it has been. So, all right. Let's see. Bye, Finn. We'll see you later. Y'all seen one of these before? A little mini cow. I don't know if it goes in the house. That's what I want to find out. Does it go in the house? Does it have a little bed, a little place, you know, by the TV? Or is it too big? I'm guessing it's like maybe this big, you know, like a very large dog. But I could be wrong on that too. It's kind of cool looking though, isn't it? With the, yeah. All right. Oh, we talked about this last week. Well, we can talk about it again because this is what's going on out there now. We have these kind of sequential thunderstorms where we had a line tonight that formed and kicked out an outflow boundary, and that outflow boundary from the mature storms then moved downline, and we had another batch kind of leapfrog up. Those were the ones along the Ohio River. And then we have additional storms over western Kentucky, all part of the typical life cycle of thunderstorms that can kind of self-perpetuate. Let's go back to the radar pic here again because we did actually have some storms to look at here. And there it is right there. So we'll get the radar going for you. And again, I want to emphasize that for most of you, especially if you're in any county other than southern Ohio, right down here, and Muhlenberg County, you are in the clear for the night. There will be no more storms. And to light up those storms over Muhlenberg County and Ohio, we're using the radar out of Fort Campbell. It's actually a little bit closer down there near Hopkinsville. And so what we're seeing, at least from Drakesboro up to Central City, South Carrollton here, just a little core of heavy rainfall, and then over into Ohio County, same thing, a lot of rain and lightning, of course, and maybe some gusty winds. I'll show you the winds, but one thing about thunderstorms, especially this time of the year and in this environment, is you're not going to see kind of those classic, you know, signs or symbols that we tend to see in spring storm, where you have hook echoes and couplets and things like that. These tend not to rotate or be tornadic. They do put down heavy rainfall, and they can put out strong winds. I'm showing you just a random sampling here of some of the higher pixels of wind showing up there in Muhlenberg County, and you see generally around 40 to 45. So these are just random places where I'm looking at the wind. Now the Weather Service obviously looking at the same data and quite a bit more that they have access to, and that's the basis then for the severe thunderstorm warning there, where we could see some wind gusts of up to say 50 or 60 miles an hour. Not hail producers, at least I don't think. It's awfully warm out there, and if we did get any hail, it would likely melt before it made it to the ground. Little hail core up there between Bremen and Eccles, but yeah, this is not a hail producer. So damaging winds would be the main threat as that cool air crashes down to the earth, okay? But the rest of the tri-state looks pretty clear for the night, and it'll probably start steaming back up, especially if you had any rain at all. You may get some patchy fog by the time you wake up in the morning. So that'll be the main impact from that. I will check questions one more time here just to make sure we got everybody taken care of. I think we did. Sergeant Williams lost power near Yellow Creek Park in Owensboro. Okay, not surprising. I was watching the storm on the weather camera. We did a weather cut-in. I don't know if you saw it or not there during American Ninja. And we're showing the weather camera there, the sky vision cam, looking west. So we had the sun setting, and then you had this cloud deck, and then, of course, about 5 minutes after I went off the air, you saw the wind come in and the sideways rain and all that. But it lasted, you know, maybe 30 to 40 minutes. Jake Grant asking, how long is this little storm supposed to last? And I would say somewhere around 30 to 45 minutes, top to bottom, okay? And that's pretty typical for this kind of storm as well. So I think that wraps up the weather show here at 9 o'clock. We pretty much covered all of our bases and told you what you need to know. Again, tomorrow, an extreme heat warning still in effect. So, you know, usual precautions, drink water, hydrate, that is the same thing. Rest, not too much exposure, especially during the heat of the day. And monitor kids, even teenagers that have band practice or football practice, stuff like that. Make sure they're getting enough water and not cramping and things like that. The good news is we won't have to do that by the end of the week. Thursday, Friday, we are going to clear out and cool down a bit. So we will start that countdown on tomorrow night's weather show at 9 o'clock. In the meantime, please stay safe, and thanks for watching.